Welcome back to Nation of Glory, the channel where we honor the lives, journeys, and legacies of the people who shaped our world through their extraordinary talents and unforgettable stories. Today, we bring you the story of a man whose name is written in the stars of Hollywood forever, a man who redefined cinema, gave us dreams larger than life, and built worlds that generations continue to live in. He is not just a director, not just a storyteller, but a true magician of the silver screen. His name is Steven Allen Spielberg. When you think about cinema, there are many great names. But very few rise above the rest to define the very meaning of storytelling. Steven Spielberg is one of those rare few. He is a filmmaker who made people believe in dinosaurs, who made us fear the ocean, who made us look to the skies and wonder if we are alone, who made us cry for lost soldiers, and who reminded us of the power of hope and humanity. He is the man behind films that are not just movies, but experiences that become a part of who we are. Spielberg's story is one of pure inspiration, because he was not born with connections, nor did he have the easiest path into Hollywood. He was a boy with a dream, a camera, and a wild imagination. Born in 1946 in Cincinnati, Ohio, to a modest Jewish family, Steven grew up fascinated with stories. As a child, he was shy and often felt like an outsider. But he had one thing that made him stand out: he loved to create. He would borrow his father's camera, gather his friends, and make short films in his neighborhood. He built worlds out of cardboard, used toy soldiers for battle scenes, and turned his backyard into a stage for adventure. From the very beginning, Steven saw movies not as simple entertainment, but as a way to connect people. While many kids were playing sports, Spielberg was teaching himself the art of editing, cutting reels of film in his room, experimenting with angles, and learning how to make his audience feel something. His mother, a pianist, encouraged his creativity, while his father, an engineer, introduced him to technology and mechanics, a perfect combination that later gave Spielberg both artistic vision and technical mastery. But Steven's journey wasn't easy. He struggled in school, was often bullied, and felt out of place because of his background. Yet, instead of letting those challenges break him, he turned them into fuel. His imagination became his escape, and the camera became his voice. By the time he was a teenager, Spielberg was making short films that impressed everyone who saw them. His 40-minute war film, made with his father's camera and a budget of almost nothing, showed his talent early. It wasn't polished, but it carried heart, ambition, and vision. When he applied to film school, Steven was rejected multiple times. But rejection never stopped him. He found another way. He would sneak onto the Universal Studios lot, pretending to belong there, watching directors, studying sets, and learning by observation. One day, with sheer boldness, he walked into an office, introduced himself as a filmmaker, and left behind a short film he had made. That short film opened doors, and Universal took notice. Soon, a young man with no formal degree was directing television episodes for one of the biggest studios in Hollywood. His rise was quick, but it was built on passion, not shortcuts. Steven's first big break came when he directed Duel, a television film about a man being hunted on the highway by a mysterious truck driver. It was simple, but Spielberg turned it into a masterpiece of suspense. The film was so successful that it launched his career as a feature film director. Then came 1975, and with it, the movie that changed cinema forever: Jaws. A story about a great white shark terrorizing a small town. It wasn't expected to be more than a modest thriller. But Spielberg's vision, his ability to build suspense, and his mastery of storytelling turned it into a phenomenon. People lined up around blocks to see it, and for the first time in history, a film became what we now call a blockbuster. Jaws didn't just scare audiences, it redefined how Hollywood released films, setting the model for summer blockbusters. And at the center of it all was a young director, named Steven Spielberg. From there, his career soared. He followed up with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a film that showed the beauty of wonder and curiosity about life beyond our planet. Then came Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Spielberg, alongside his friend George Lucas, introduced the world to Indiana Jones, a character who became a symbol of adventure and bravery. He wasn't just making films, he was creating myths, modern fairy tales that captured the imagination of millions. And then, in 1982, Spielberg delivered what many consider one of the most heartfelt films in history, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The story of a boy and his alien friend wasn't just science fiction, it was a story about love, childhood, and friendship that moved audiences around the world. Children cried, adults cried, and the film became a cultural milestone. Spielberg had shown that he wasn't just a master of suspense or action, he was a master of emotion. What makes Spielberg unique is his ability to move between genres and still deliver brilliance. He could create thrilling adventures like Jurassic Park, which made dinosaurs come alive in a way no one thought possible. He could direct intense war dramas like Saving Private Ryan, which gave audiences one of the most realistic depictions of World War II ever seen on screen. He could also deliver deeply emotional films like Schindler's List, a heartbreaking but essential story about the Holocaust, which won him Academy Awards and remains one of the most powerful films in history. Behind every film was Spielberg's heart. He never treated cinema as just business. For him, it was art, it was communication, it was a way to make the world feel. That's why his films connected with audiences across cultures, languages, and generations. He reminded us to dream, to feel, to reflect, and to believe. But Steven Spielberg's story isn't only about films. It's about resilience, vision, and courage. He faced rejection, he faced doubts, and he faced challenges. Yet he never stopped creating. His persistence turned a boy with a camera into the most successful director in the history of cinema. Even after decades, Spielberg continues to inspire. He has directed dozens of films, produced countless more, and mentored new generations of filmmakers. His influence is everywhere, in the way movies are made, in the way stories are told, and in the way audiences connect with cinema. Beyond his career, Spielberg is also a philanthropist and advocate. He has donated millions to education, film preservation, and humanitarian causes. His work with the Shoah Foundation has preserved the testimonies of Holocaust survivors, ensuring that future generations never forget. For Spielberg, storytelling isn't just about entertainment, it's about responsibility. And what is perhaps most inspiring about Spielberg is his humility. Despite his enormous success, he remains someone who still sees himself as a student of film, someone who still believes in the magic of storytelling. He often says that he makes movies, not for himself, but for the child inside all of us, the child who dreams, who wonders, who hopes. Steven Allen Spielberg is more than the highest-grossing director of all time. He is a dreamer, a visionary, and a reminder that imagination can change the world. His story shows us that no matter how many times we are rejected, no matter how many obstacles stand in our way, if we hold on to our passion, we can create something extraordinary. As we look back on his journey, we see not just a filmmaker, but a man who gave us treasures, treasures of cinema, treasures of the heart, treasures that will live on long after all of us are gone. And so, as we end today's story, let us remember the lesson Steven Spielberg leaves us with: never stop dreaming, never stop believing in the power of imagination, and never underestimate the ability of a story to change lives. Thank you for watching today's journey on Nation of Glory. If you enjoyed this story of Steven Spielberg, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more stories of the legends who shaped Hollywood and beyond. Your support helps us continue to bring you these powerful tales of inspiration and greatness. Until next time, stay inspired, stay strong, and stay glorious.